Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Porter Says podcast with your host and only host, Heath. Of course, who else would it be? Can't be Porter. He can't speak. Despite it being called the Porter Says podcast, he doesn't really say much. It's a terrible joke. So, welcome to episode 12 of this podcast. I actually did film this yesterday, but the recording software I use, after I'd recorded it, I was like, alright, I'll put it into the editing software, Premiere Pro, that I use, but unfortunately that footage was it was, instead of an MP4 file, it was MVK, and Premiere Pro, for some reason, doesn't like that, so I had to scrap that, but, give this a second chance, to make it better. Possibly, maybe there was a silver lining in that whole thing. So today, I'm only going to be talking about two movies, and then I've decided to, I looked up some, topics, so film topics, like film questions. There's 80 of them. I'm not going through all 80, I'm just going to scroll and pick what I think is the best one to talk about. And then I think there's been some recent news in terms of in the film world and stuff like that. There's a couple of things I think. So let's get on with it, of course. So last week I saw Mufasa, The Lion King, which was the newest live action Disney movie. Even though it wasn't remaking it, it was still in that live action realm, if you want to consider it live action. I wasn't I'm not a massive fan of the 2019 Lion King live action, because I think that one is one of the more unnecessary live action Disney remakes. There was no expression on the animals. It was just beat for beat, scene for scene of the animated movie. So I went into this one kind of expecting not a whole lot from it, and I was surprised that it turned out to be as decent as it was. It was a decent movie. I enjoyed. Sorry about that, Porter. Can you not? Hey, enough. Anyway, what was I saying? I enjoyed the music in it. The story was somewhat original. The animals had more expression. I enjoyed the finale. I enjoyed, Timon and Pumbaa and Rafiki. Rafiki was by far the best part of the movie. It was okay. I'd watch it a couple of times more, really. But it was still one of those more unnecessary Disney live action films. Again, not a remake of anything, and the ending of it was clearly trying to set something up. Another one with maybe Simba's daughter, who because the story's been told to her by Rafiki, Timon, and Pumbaa. I have a feeling having her show up, and also having Simba and Nala be there, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more coming in terms of that. So that's my thoughts on Mufasa the Lion King. I kind of wanted to, just get my thoughts on that. And, let me know down below what you think of it, if you've seen it. I'm so sorry for this bloody dog in the background. Can you not do it right now? Come on. So then, same week, of course, I've been keeping up with, going to see the Spider-Man films since they're being re-released in theaters. I saw TASM 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which if you'd kind of seen, I don't know, it was the 4th or 5th episode of this podcast, I talked about some underrated media, in films, TV shows, and music, I think. Actually, I can't remember. But The Amazing Spider-Man was obviously one that I talked about, and I did talk about that one as well in a previous episode, but you probably saw that I talked about TASM 2 briefly and wasn't the way I was talking about it made it sound like I wasn't a big fan of it. I think it's, it just, yeah, doesn't do much for me. Well, actually, that all changed because seeing it on the big screen really did something for me this time. I still, not to kind of like go full on depth, because that's going to be a future Patreon episode on all the Spider-Man movies. I don't hate the movie as much as I did the last time I rewatched it, was last year. I think I kind of focused more on the bad stuff because, just to give some little thoughts, there's so much bad stuff in that movie that I really hate. But the good is good. Like, it's great. There's great stuff in that movie. So that's all I'll say about seeing TASM 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the theaters, on the big screen. I'd seen it back when it came out in 2014, and that's when I was like a massive defender of it. And then it was from like 2017 till, well, now I guess, from this year, that I really just didn't like that movie. So, but stay tuned for a Patreon one about the Spider-Man films. So, let's get on with the topics at hand. So this is just a bunch of questions. I looked up like just film topics, and it was like topics for like writing a paper or essay or whatever. But I figured that could apply to just to talk about on the podcast. So I'm not answering all 80 questions, as I said, or not answering or talking about all 80 of the things that are on here. I feel like I will just scroll through and pick the ones I want to talk about, because there's actually, a lot of ones again, I did talk about this last night in when I was filming this one for the first time, but obviously kind of annoying. But I think I've gathered some more thoughts, I think. So the first question on here is, are superhero movies killing creativity in Hollywood? I'm very 50-50 on this one. I think, the superhero genre, everybody nowadays, or maybe in the last few years, probably before that maybe, has been getting superhero fatigue, because that's just about all we are really getting in however many years it's been since superhero movies were a thing. Oh, excuse me. And a lot of them just feel like they're going through the motions and doing the same thing over and over again. But every once in a while, and you'll get a superhero comic book movie that comes out or project in general, whether it's a film or a show or anything, or animated stuff, that is, that's more unique and more creative than any other superhero stuff that's come out. So I'd say WandaVision was up there for sure. That show was like very unique and had a really cool style to it, and has some really good visuals. In terms of Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange, at the time when it came out, I in my opinion, I thought that movie was a lot different compared to the other Marvel ones that were coming out at the time, and had all these really cool sequences, visually stunning sequences, especially in the finale. It was very trippy. Like, there was some really trippy stuff, but for the most part, it felt more unique than any other Marvel film we'd seen at that point. And then, Loki was also pretty creative with everything it was doing. Anything that kind of, depending on how well they do it with the multiverse, there's some pretty cool stuff in there. Obviously, No Way Home did a good job with that, I think. So, yeah. So I'd say it's a bit of both. I feel like it's more on the yes side of it, because we just aren't getting enough original films, and even like independent movies, original independent films, and all that stuff. Like, not enough people go and see those, and that's because they Hollywood doesn't think that enough of them, enough people, won't get a big audience, so they only release them in certain theaters and in certain states, countries, because they're just kind of afraid that that enough people won't go see them, and they'll just stick to the superhero stuff. But I think some people are starting to come around, myself included. I think it's only been in the last couple of years for me that I've really started to go, okay, superhero stuff is really starting to get a bit old. As much as of a Marvel fan I am, and also, like, I'm not obviously the biggest DC guy out there. I like DC. Like, I consider myself, like, a casual fan of DC. But even those I'm getting getting kind of sick of. I am looking forward to, obviously, Superman or Superman Legacy. So I'm intrigued by that. Yeah, so overall, I'd say yes and no. That's about it. Here we go. Is the comedy genre becoming less funny due to political correctness? Yes. Big yes. So many comedy movies these days are so afraid to go over the top and be as offensive as they were back years ago, because there's a lot more sensitive people out there on the internet, and audiences don't respond to them as well, and they don't do as well because people probably see the trailer and go, oh, well, this isn't going to do well, because many people just don't know how to take jokes. And my advice is, if you see a trailer for a new comedy movie, in the theater or online, and you go, that's super offensive, I'm offended by all these jokes they're saying, all this stuff, then the simple thing is, don't go and see the frickin' movie. Don't go see it. It's as simple as that. It's like seeing a trailer for a movie that looks really terrible. If you don't like the trailer, do not go see the movie. Wait a little bit, or just don't watch it at all. It's so easy. So I very much am on agreeing with that it is, comedies are very, very far in between nowadays. Less funny because of PC, political correctness. Here we go. Are animated films just for kids, or can they be for adults too? If you're looking at movies made by Pixar, DreamWorks, and Disney, those movies can appeal to adults as well as kids. They probably are more targeted towards kids, but adults can go and watch them and go, yeah, I had a good time with that, or I loved this, and all that stuff. But then you got like Illumination and all the other, and some of the other animated companies like Blue Sky, I think, unless that company's done. Whatever company did like the Rio movies or something. Those are strictly kids, kid oriented, and adults watch them and go, oh, well, yeah, this is definitely for a kids thing. I'll take my kid to see it, but I know I'm not going to get any enjoyment out of it. But yeah, especially, DreamWorks and all that. Like, my dad's favorite animated movie of all time is How to Train Your Dragon. So, and he really likes like the Shrek movies and stuff like that. So clearly, those animated stuff can appeal to adults and not just for kids. But, so it's a very kind of mixed thing, depending on what animation studio you're talking about and looking at. Clearly shows like Bluey or Paw Patrol or whatever that crap is called, that's strictly kid stuff. Like animated stuff, that is strictly for kids. There is no way in hell an adult will get any enjoyment out of that. But there are certain movies within like those three companies I was just talking about, that there are movies that are strictly for kids and won't appeal to adults. So that's my 2 cents on that matter. Here we go. Here's one. and I was kind of, talking about this. Should independent films receive more support from the government? Yes, strong yes on that one. There are so many. I feel like I've been watching over the past couple of years. I've been trying to get into more indie, independent films and original stuff like that, but there isn't enough. The government's not really giving them enough money to get them out there, because there's been, just all, like, every movie that comes out these days are either a sequel, remake, reboot, franchise stuff, whatever. And as much as I enjoy seeing those, I'm really starting to lean towards the side of going to watch more original cinema and more independent stuff. I mean, look, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of bad independent movies and bad original films out there. But I think the great ones really need to be talked about more. I really do. So I am very strong yes on that one. Yes, more support, please. We need more of this. We need more films like that have, like, strong messages and characters that you latch onto. I mean, Boyhood's a great example of an independent movie that most people really liked, because it was somewhat of an original project, or more original than anything else, because it took 12 years to make, and I feel like I could do... I was gonna say, like, do a whole episode on Boyhood, but I feel like I need to rewatch the movie. I haven't seen it in about 5 years. And that's a film that most people can only watch once. I've seen that movie at least 10 times, maybe over. I think it's an excellent film. Actually, that might just be my review there. Boyhood's amazing. Go see it. Go watch it one day. Are big budget films overshadowing smaller, more meaningful stories? I guess I just kind of touched upon that, really, when I'm talking about, like, the big budget action superhero stuff. That's kind of that is overshadowing. So, yeah, yes. Here's one, and I am very much... Should 3D movies be a thing of the past? Yes! 3D was crap. I never got 3D. I liked it for a while, but then after a point, like, you wear those things and you just get headaches from them. Like, they're not comfy to wear, especially if it's a movie that's, like, over 2 hours and you're watching it. I'm like, I have to take these off and just, like, let my eyes adjust and rest for a minute. Like, when I saw Avatar: Way of the Water, that was like, they brought back 3D just for that movie. And I was just like, why? Like, I remember watching that movie, and that movie's over 3 freaking hours. So I had to take those glasses off a decent amount of times. And I was like, I probably would have preferred just to watch the blurriness on the screen. And if I'm honest, the movie wasn't even that great. So, yeah, 3D should be definitely a thing of the past. I mean, yeah, for a while my family and I had a 3D TV, but, after a while we got really sick of it and got sick of the whole 3D thing. So yes, it should be a thing of the past, and I don't know why they brought it back for Avatar. Especially... no. 3D can piss off forever. Please, no. Don't bring 3D back. It just needs to die forever and not come back for one film. Is the rise of streaming services killing the cinema experience? I mean, streaming service has been around for a while. Yeah, I'd say so, just because so many people just prefer to sit on their couch, and just, like, put the movie on so they can go on their bloody phones. And look, I'm not gonna lie, like, there have been a few times, and probably more, that I have gone on my phone during the cinema, but every time I do it, I hate myself for it. it's really just to check the time or check the like if I've gotten any messages, like any important things that I need to respond to. But most of the time, I'm not, I stay off my phone and I sit and I watch the goddamn movie, and I just I keep quiet and respect everyone around me. Because I've had a few experiences where there are people in a movie theater who won't shut up. And it's just like, why? Like, when I went to see the re-release of the very first Potter movie, Philosopher's Stone, in the cinema, I was like down the front, and I was like, this is one of my favorite movies. I get to see this on the big screen. I didn't see it because I was a baby when it came out. So, imagine to my surprise, nearly about the entire time, there were 2-3 people behind me, and this one person in particular would not shut up during the entire movie. I don't know why this person was just... I don't get it. It was really starting to annoy me. I don't get why people come to a theater just to talk throughout a freaking movie. Mind you, I have seen that first movie like 1,000 times. Like, so it was not as annoying. But if it was a movie that I was watching for the first time, like it was a new release, I would have gone nuts. I might have gotten up and yelled or left the freaking theater. Because it's just like, we're going there and we're spending our money. We want to sit in peace in a dark theater and watch a film. That was a whole tangent. But that's the point I'm trying to make. So many people just want to sit home on their streaming services and just pick a movie or however many movies they want to watch and just go on their phone and scroll through and, all that stupid shit. Like, I really love going to the movie theater. So I take that chance. I love going there. I mean, yeah, the streaming services are great, because if there's no... Oh, excuse me. If there's no movies out at the theater, I guess I can just stay home and watch something on there. Or, that's why I've been going to see the Spider-Man movies, because there's nothing out that I want to see yet. There's a couple of things coming out this month and the next few months. I think the year's going to start kicking in. So, are musicals an outdated form of entertainment? So if we're talking about just like movie musicals, I'm just going to apply it to those. No, I don't think they are. I really think musicals have an important purpose, because a lot of people go to these things, to the musicals, and just want to sit in a theater and just watch people sing for however long the film is. And my stance is, the whole thing is that if the music in a movie musical isn't good, like at all, like if the music's not memorable, then the movie failed. Because the musical, but then there's the story, but it's like, well, the music, a lot of the musical sequences tell the story and propel the story forward and the characters. So if the music isn't great and the story is just, there's no point to it, because you're just like, well, I don't really care if the musical sequences didn't do anything for me, or didn't do anything for you, then why are you there? You just, But no, because, yeah, I don't think they're outdated at all. I really don't. I think most movie musicals that I've seen, or just musicals in general, are very entertaining, and are great all the way throughout. And a prime example for me is a movie, In the Heights. That's one of my favorite musical movies ever. Really, I adored that film. Tick Tick Boom, I loved. I enjoy the High School Musical stuff. So, clearly, I'm becoming more of a musical guy than anything. And just like musicals I've seen that aren't the films that I've seen on stage, they've really grown on me a lot. And I think, yeah, I don't think they're outdated at all. I don't think they're outdated entertainment at all. I think that's gonna do for this one. So I really hope you enjoyed this latest episode of the Porter Says podcast. He was here for a bit. Porter was there for a bit. Now he's on the ground, on the cold tiles If you heard the like aircon in the background, I'm sorry. It is pretty. It's pretty hot around here. It's still currently summer, which is very annoying. I can't wait for winter. Please hurry up. I know that's not until like June or something, but for the love of God. Trying to think. There was actually one more movie that I did watch last night called Sex Appeal, which is like this high school young adult comedy movie or something. It was pretty whatever, I guess. Kind of like very cliche and typical. Like there was the whole thing is about this girl who's like wanting to like do some sexual experiences and stuff like that because she's like gonna have sex with her boyfriend at some point who's not who's like away somewhere because she's got like this big conference thing coming up for her high school, and she decides like, oh, I'll try it with this friend and I'll make it an experiment, like blah blah blah. And instead of like showing the sex scenes, it goes into these weird like dream like illusions or sequences. So it was a very very strange film, but it wasn't horrible. It was just very, it was just pretty whatever. It was average. I probably wouldn't watch it again unless I'm like super bored. But yeah, so do like, share, and subscribe. You tell your family and friends about this podcast. Check it out on obviously on YouTube and Spotify, and if you want to go to my TikTok, want to go to my Letterboxd, which is where I talk about the films on there. On my Instagram, which I post every once in a while. I'll post to like update people and say, oh, new episode's out, new episode's going to be out this, I'm filming this, blah blah blah. And I will catch you guys in the next one. So take care, everybody.